Hello everyone and welcome to your genogram assignment. Genograms are this really cool way of mapping out your family history. Not just like a family tree, but kind of digging into the relationships between the members of that family tree based on the perspective of the individual providing the information. What happens is, within a genogram, individuals are able to depict family members, one, across generations, reveal relationship patterns that exist between members, provide information about specific family members and their experiences. Genograms build on demographic information by adding information about crucial events, history, and major life cycle transitions. These transitions may be something like a marriage, divorce, separation, child being born, a miscarriage, even a passing away of a loved one. Genograms also help professionals quickly grasp key interaction patterns as well as other factors such as illness, divorce, and unique characteristics as previously stated. Genograms reflect on one individual's point of view. So as a clinical professional, the genogram would reflect on the interviewee's perspective. The person whose perspective is represented in a genogram is referred to as the index person. Most members of a family agree on the basics of the family tree, but major differences may appear when relatives describe the relationships among family members. They depict a family at a specific point in time, usually the present. Therefore, a genogram drawn in 2014 may look significantly different in 2017. Any genogram reflects its creator's vision of the family at a given point in time, almost always in the current moment. Different family members may have various perspectives on the family relationships and therefore may construct genograms of the same family very differently. In fact, because genograms within families are often different, they can shed light on each member's unique perspective of the family. Genograms help to illustrate how family relationships are transactional, how each member affects and is affected by each other. It also helps to discern communication patterns shaped by the perception of the interactions. Genograms also allow for discerning communication patterns that can be transmitted across generations. Patterns can become ingrained so that they become family scripts. When they become this ingrained, they can be passed down, or we can see members react in an opposite way. Cultural continuity and cultural identity can impact functioning of current family systems. The degree to which members have experienced discrimination, for example, is one way in which this continuity can be displayed. The extent to which they lived in the ethnic community, religious beliefs, gender roles, individualism, collectivism are all things that a genogram can help explain. As we explore more about genograms, keep in mind the following question. How might this history of interaction and patterns affect a family's current communication patterns? Family members communicate both shapes and is shaped by family relationships. In many cases, a partner can view another partner's genogram and understand the background for certain behaviors that may be exhibited. So how are genograms used and who uses them? Counselors and therapists, for example, use genograms as a tool in order to map out family relationships, help them understand any type of stressful situation, recognize any type of intimacy or conflict disparages, and negotiate gender and cultural issues. Health professionals may use them in order to track the lineage of a hereditary disease, such as cancer, or any type of genetically linked disease like trisomy 23. And persons of interest in family genealogy will also use genograms as a way to get more detailed information about their actual lineage. So for the purpose of this course, we're going to approach genograms in 3 steps. The current step, step 1, we're going to basically build a family tree. We're going to use Genogram Analytics as our software. We're going to show 3 complete generations, or more if you choose to do so, And we're going to need to talk about each family member in those generations. The basic information that we're going to need to talk about is essentially birth, death, and relationship status. For example, mother to father, mother to son, father to daughter, grandparent to grandchild, etc. And I'll go through that in more detail in subsequent sessions. So to begin our project, we're going to talk about some of the technical aspects of a genogram. First, a male is always represented as a square, and a female is always represented as a circle. The symbol for a male in a heterosexual partnership will always be on the left. The female symbol will always be on the right. Children are mapped from oldest to youngest, from left to right. Birth dates are often included in the upper right hand or left hand of the individual symbol. The index person is indicated by a double square or circle depending on gender. Let's see how that looks here on this legend. Males are represented by a square, females by a circle. Date of birth in the upper left-hand corner. Age is written within the square. Date of death and identification of death are located in the upper portion of the square or circle unit, and there's a cross or hash mark through the actual identifier. So for example, in this example, it's a square with an X through it. Gay and lesbian relationships and bisexual relationships are identified with a marker of a triangle. Solid triangle identifies gay or lesbian within a square or a circle, and bisexual is a dotted triangle. If we continue to look at transgendered people will have their sex of origin within the sex of destination. I apologize, I'm not clear on the actual terminology we should use here, but so for example, we have a man transitioning to a woman. There is a square with inside a circle. And for a woman transitioning to a man, there is a square outside of a circle. And that is all we actually need to know for this slide. Now we're going to take a moment and look at interpersonal relationships between members in the genogram. Marital status is represented by a square and a circle connected just by a simple line. Couple relationships has a dotted line between the two, and those are relationships where individuals are living together but are not legally married. Secret affairs are indicated with a blacked out triangle. A committed homosexual relationship is identified with a solid bar and a dotted line. Marital separations show a dash between the two, or the connecting lines between the male and the female, or in the same within a committed relationship. Divorce has two dash marks. Divorce and remarriage. That one gets a little confusing because you can mark and note the time of marriage, separation, divorce, and remarriage. So those hash marks are going to look a little confusing, but it's going to take a little bit of playing around with the software to get it to make sense. So the last thing we're going to look at for this first portion of the assignment are the children and how they're listed within birth order, as well as how twins and identical twins, etc. are identified. So within the father and mother group, you'll list the oldest biological child first, and descending down to the youngest. Foster children, if there are any, will be identified with a hash mark, or excuse me, not a hash mark, but dash lines. Adopted children will be identified with a solid line and dash marks. Stillbirths will be identified with a square of the gender of the child with the cross out just as if there was a family that, or a family member, grandparent, whatever, that had passed. Miscarriage are represented with a small degree symbol. An abortion is indicated with just a simple X on the line. Twins, if they are fraternal, and those are unidentical twins, those are identified as just two lines coming out from the same point and their genders. Identical twins are identified essentially the same way. They just have a coupling link between the two lines that are coming out of the same center point. And then pregnancy, finally, for those siblings or nieces, nephews, cousins, uncles, aunts that are unborn yet, they'll just be identified as a triangle.